Hey guys. I don't even know where to begin. This wasn't just a night. It was the night. You know the kind. The ones that sneak up on you when you least expect them, twist something inside you, and somehow leave you wide awake at 2 a.m., wondering what it all meant. I can still feel it in my bones. The electricity of it. The quiet, slow burn of something I never thought I'd experience. I'd passed this bar probably 100 times. It was this tucked-away little spot wedged between an old bookstore and a flower shop that always smelled like lavender and dust. The sign above the bar didn't even light up properly. Half the letters were missing. It was the kind of place people either didn't notice or intentionally avoided. But that night, something pulled me inside. I wasn't looking for anything. Not really. I was exhausted, emotionally more than anything. My job had been grinding me down. The fake smiles, the endless emails, the hollow routine. I'd hit that point where even scrolling through my phone felt like too much. I just needed to feel something. Something real. And then I walked in. The place was dimly lit, golden light hanging from thick cords, flickering like candle flames. The smell of old wood, citrus cleaner, and something slightly smoky filled the air. It was warm, not just in temperature, but in feeling, like stepping into a memory. Then I saw him. Behind the bar was a man with rolled-up sleeves and forearms that looked like they'd spent years working, not just lifting cocktail shakers. His hair was a little messy, but intentional. His eyes were dark, calm, focused. The kind of eyes that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. His name, I'd find out later, was Liam. He caught my gaze and gave me a smile that wasn't flashy or forced. Just genuine. Like he already knew I needed a place to land. I took a seat at the bar, suddenly hyper-aware of how my skirt hugged my legs, how my breath felt a little too loud. "First time here?" he asked, voice like warm honey over ice. I just nodded. Words didn't seem to trust me yet. He poured me something. I didn't even ask what. It didn't matter. I needed the kind of comfort that came without questions. But instead, he asked anyway. Not about what I wanted to drink. About me. Where I worked. What I liked. What brought me in that night. I don't even know what I said at first. But the way he listened, it unlocked something. I found myself talking about the stress, the noise, the ache to just escape. Even for one evening. And he listened like he understood. Not like he was waiting for his turn to speak. Then the door opened, and everything changed. His name was Jack. He walked in like he owned the night. Leather jacket slung casually over one shoulder, boots that echoed across the wooden floor, and that slightly cocky smile that shouldn't have worked, but it did. He looked like chaos in a perfect package. Blonde hair that defied gravity, eyes that made you feel like he'd already read your story and found the ending amusing. When he spotted me, he didn't hesitate. He walked straight to the bar, sat a few stools down, and ordered a whiskey neat. Of course he did. And, of course, he made it look effortless. What I didn't expect was how easily he joined our conversation. Or how naturally the energy shifted. Liam's posture changed, barely. Just enough that I noticed. His questions became more direct, like he was trying to reclaim something. Jack, meanwhile, was all charm and confidence, tossing playful comments my way and grinning like he knew exactly what he was doing. And suddenly, I wasn't just sitting at the bar. I was in something. It wasn't a competition, not exactly. But the tension between them was undeniable. Like they were dancing around a line neither of them wanted to cross, but neither of them wanted to back away from, either. And me? I was the spark between them. Their attention, their questions, the way their eyes lingered on me. It was intoxicating.
Not in a showy way.
In a quiet, magnetic way that made the hair on my arms stand up. It was the kind of attention that made you feel not just attractive, but seen. I could have finished my drink, smiled politely, and walked out. I could have gone home to leftover takeout and some show I'd already rewatched 3 times. That would have been the safe choice. But that night,
I didn't want safe.
I stayed. Not because I was choosing between them, but because I didn't want to miss whatever was unfolding right in front of me. I wasn't chasing romance or thrill. I was chasing realness. And somehow, in that little bar with 2 strangers, I found it. We ended up at Liam's place. It wasn't flashy. A leather couch, some vinyl records, the comforting scent of cedar and clean laundry. Jack moved like he belonged there, tossing his jacket over a chair and flopping onto the couch. I stood for a moment, taking it all in, my heart pounding, not from nerves, but from something harder to name. We talked. We laughed. I sat between them, sipping wine, and the room felt wrapped in warmth. Jack told a wild story about a train ride in Spain that ended in an unexpected rooftop dinner. Liam countered with tales of bar regulars and the strangest drink requests he'd ever filled. It wasn't just conversation. It was connection. Liam poured another glass. Jack picked a record. Nina Simone's voice crackled to life in the background, low and smoky. At one point, Jack's fingers brushed mine. I looked up, only to find Liam already watching me. There was no jealousy in his eyes, no pressure, just the soft, unreadable depth that made my chest tighten. Eventually, Jack stood up, stretched, and flashed me a half-smile. "Don't get too comfortable without me," he said with a wink before disappearing out the door, the scent of leather and spice trailing behind him like a whisper. Liam didn't say much, just walked me to the door, brushed my arm lightly, and said, "Take care," with a look that lingered longer than it should have. Outside, the city buzzed as it always does. But to me, it sounded different. I hadn't crossed any lines, but I'd stood on the edge of something raw, real, something that made me question what I thought I wanted. That night wasn't about choices. It wasn't about love or even lust. It was about presence. The feeling of 2 people seeing you clearly, perhaps more clearly than you see yourself. The realization that not everything has to be defined to be meaningful. That sometimes the most unforgettable nights aren't about what happens. They're about what they almost become. And I don't regret a single second of it. So if you've ever felt that spark, that magnetic, indescribable pull toward the unknown, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, maybe next time you pass by that little bar on the corner, step inside. Until next time, wild hearts, don't be afraid to follow the pull of the unexpected.